So Liverpool go to Benfica in the next round of the Champions League. Of course, Liverpool are one of the favourites, flying at the moment, playing so well, and led in this competition this season by who else? Mo Salah. Incredible. He scored 8 goals already, and this season he could become, if he scores 10 or more, the first Liverpool player to do so in multiple seasons for the club. The big question, of course, is about that contract and his future, and it looks like things could get sorted out soon. How important is he, James?
I mean, yeah, he's huge. Of course he is. And 6 of those 8 goals have been away from home. So watch out, Benfica, this week in the Champions League, which of course we'll talk about. When it comes to contract, I've got 2 questions here. It's like, what's the sort of strongest play that provides the motivation for Mohamed Salah? And maybe that's a stupid question in itself, because maybe Mohamed Salah wanting to be the best in the world, wanting to win Ballon d'Ors, maybe he's not even bothered about that stuff. But I think there's a play to be had here with Liverpool to go, let's wait to the end of the season for a couple of reasons. One, to save some money, because once you sign a contract, you need to start paying that kind of money. And the 400 grand a week that he supposedly is going to be going on, that's what the latest reports are saying. And that's one where he's stepped back from, and good on him, good on Mo, because Ronaldo's on 500 grand a week and Mo, he's just a class act, isn't he? He's going, I'll take 400 grand a week, but just give me an extra year of 400 grand a week. So class act. But do you think that there's something in keeping him kind of on his toes and wanting to impress by not getting this done now and getting this done in the summer?
I think you keep your best players happy, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if there's a player in the Liverpool squad. I don't know if there's a fan out there. I don't know if there's anyone in the hierarchy of the club that would begrudge him signing not just this deal, but a deal for a lot more, to be perfectly honest. In terms of what he's delivered on the pitch, he certainly deserves it.
Yeah.
The major question is whether it breaks the wage structure, whether other players at the club are going to be unhappy. And for Liverpool, who aren't the richest club in the world, although, of course, they're not the poorest club in the world either, how do we balance the squad? Do we need to sell anyone to help us pay for this contract? And there is always that question mark, I think, with Sadio Mane. His contract, actually, the one that he's on at the moment, expires before Mo Salah's does. So I think Sadio Mane will actually end up leaving Liverpool. I think this is the time to cash in. It will pay for that transfer of Luis Diaz, and it will play for a big slice as well of Mo Salah's contract. And I think that's the prudent thing to do, and that's how Liverpool have behaved. So where do you rank Liverpool in terms of the favourites for the Champions League? Because there are some great teams up there at the moment. I think City are the favourites on the bookmakers, of course, closely followed by Liverpool, and then it's Bayern Munich as well. I think maybe the 2 English clubs are actually streets ahead. The way Liverpool are playing at the moment, it's actually very hard to look past them.
I said a couple of weeks ago, I feel like with Liverpool, with the draw that they've got, Benfica, I think that's probably the best draw that was available for them. And their road maybe to the final. Of course, you're going to have to play possibly Man City, possibly Bayern Munich along the way. But that's it. That's the Champions League. I think if they're playing at home along the way, to have those kind of games at the start in terms of Benfica, I think that has to put them as the favourites right now, alongside the pedigree and what Jurgen Klopp has done with this team in Europe. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think there is something that stands out for Liverpool in terms of cup competitions, and it's their ability to, and it doesn't happen very often, but even if they didn't play particularly well in a game, you imagine they can still score 3 or 4 goals. They can have a 10 or 15 minute spell, dizzying spell, and they can put themselves out of sight of other teams. I know we've spoken about it before. You want to say they've got that firepower, and they do. They don't have the best striker in the world in their team. They have the best wide forward, if you like, in terms of Mo Salah, and he chips in with the majority of their goals. But they have just about everything you need to win this tournament, and they have the Anfield crowd behind them, and that makes a difference. Every single home game, nobody wants to be playing at Anfield because they know what European nights are all about. And this year, I think, look, they have something that Man City don't do. I know it's an intangible, maybe. They have something that City don't have, in that they've been there, they've done it, they've got the T-shirt, and their fans expect that. And actually, I don't think City do in the same way as Bayern, as well as Liverpool. So the expectation is on those 2 clubs who, if you like, have that European legacy.
Benfica have averaged 40% possession in the games that they played in the Champions League, which is the lowest when it comes to any of the teams still in the competition right now. But does that suit them in this game against Liverpool? I've been trying to kind of find a way that Benfica can kind of hurt this Liverpool side. I think one talking point for me, Hugh, is the fact that is Trent going to play this game or not? And if he doesn't, I wonder if Joe Gomez and the performance that he showed at the weekend could be one that they look to utilize again, especially up against Darwin Núñez, who likes to drift off to that left-hand side. They'll look to hit him because they're not going to hold on to the ball for that long. Utilize his size, utilize his pace in behind when you've got two centre-backs like Van Dijk and Matip playing in a game like this, or Konate, but it is just two centre-backs. Do you feel like Joe Gomez might start this game? How do you think that will affect the game if he does?
Yeah, I think the preference would be, of course, to start Trent Alexander-Arnold. But if Joe Gomez does start again and play like he played at the weekend, in some ways, it might be preferable to Trent. Yes, I said it.
Is it worth taking that risk when you're playing Benfica as well, where you could maybe save Trent for the Man City game?
I think so. And I also think, look, away from home, leaving with a draw, even if it's a boring goalless draw, is great for Liverpool because we know what they're like at home, of course. But I actually think Joe Gomez has that added physicality. I'm not going to say he's a better player in that position than Trent Alexander-Arnold, although he showed at the weekend that he does have great delivery when called upon. I think actually he's got good pace. He's got good physicality. That's going to be important, I think, because closing down any sort of counter-attacks, speed in behind, and also just the physicality. If Darwin Núñez does drift over there, I think he might have got a little bit more joy out of Trent Alexander-Arnold than he would out of Joe Gomez. So I don't think Jurgen Klopp's going to have a problem starting either of those players, to be perfectly honest. On Darwin Núñez, though, I think, look, he's been fantastic. What can you say? One goal away from Nuno Gomez's record in terms of the highest number of goals scored for Benfica in the Champions League. He's got 27 goals in 34 in all competitions. Absolutely brilliant. And he's likely to get a big move away this summer. And Benfica could cash in. The question is, where could he end up? How good a player could he become?
I think he's a really, really exciting player, and I think he's ready for. I'd love to see him at Arsenal. I really would love to see him at Arsenal. I think he'd be a really good fit. Someone who could play as a shadow striker, can play out wide, can then spin and make those runs into the channels as well. I think he'd be a really, really lovely fit for a team that needs a striker as well. I know that we're talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I feel like Núñez is maybe that little bit more well-rounded than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. In this game, though, I think my huge concern for Benfica, and I just can't get away from it, is that speed kills, and the way that Liverpool play is so high octane, like the pressure that will be put on them. And I look at Jan Vertonghen, I look at Nicolas Otamendi, I look at Grimaldi, who's been doing special training. I'm sure everyone does special training with the idea of dealing with Mohamed Salah. But I just think there's just going to be a lack of pace, certainly through the middle there. And Liverpool just have way too much. There's no way that Liverpool can go out, surely, right?
I think Benfica are actually quite surprised that they came past Ajax, to be honest with you, because they play very good football. They had been in great goal-scoring form in the Champions League. Liverpool will be a step too far for them. They just play with a level of quality and intensity and experience that Benfica don't have at the moment. It will be a steep learning curve. Obviously, those older players at the back, some of them have been there in terms of the Champions League, of course. But yeah, look, you can't be old Father Time.
Hi guys, James Allcott here from ESPN's Football Forecast. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and you want to check out more, make sure you subscribe to ESPN UK.